Hey guys, welcome back to DC Extra. My name is Chris. Today we're going to be breaking down The Flash Season 9, Episode 10. Alright, so as always, before getting into the breakdown, make sure you've watched this episode as there will be some major spoilers ahead. So this episode is the first episode of a 4-part finale series called A New World, and the title for this specific episode is Reunions, and it will become very apparent why. The episode opens on a character who at first we don't get to see the face of, and they appear to be living in the West House. Eventually we get a glimpse of the person's face as none other than Eddie Thawne, all the way back from Season 1, who looks like he's working at Mercury Labs. It looks like this may be an alternate Earth, but could also be some sort of timeline shenanigans. An ID card that he holds reads the name something Gilmore. The first name is obstructed, so it's hard to see, but this indicates while this man may share a face with Eddie, it may not actually be him. And we'll get a bit more confirmation on this later. Now going back to our regular cast, Chester attempts to make a suit for Allegra, but it looks awful and Allegra hates it. But things are still good between them. We then catch up with Cecile and Joe in their new house briefly, before heading to see Keone, who has learned to control her new abilities in what she says is 9 months. Meaning that at this point in time, Iris is just about to give birth, which we definitely get to see. So a bit of a time jump since the last episode, but I think it's pretty clear as to how things have progressed. So we have about a 9-month time jump between this episode and the last one, but I don't think it confuses things up too much. It seems that everyone is living their best lives, up until Barry is engulfed by what looks like a blue flame, and is then transported to the year 2000. He tries running forward in time, but this fails to work, and he winds up in the back of a laundry van, very reminiscent of his first time running with super speed in Season 1. Now stuck in the past, Barry heads to CCPD to try to get help from Joe in finding Christina McGee, who, as we know from previous seasons, was fond of researching tachyons, which may be able to help Barry get back to the present. However, Joe refuses to help, and then Barry tries to get help from Martin Stein, but he hangs up on him, leaving Barry stranded. He is then attacked by a familiar red streak of lightning, who at this point we are left to speculate as to who it is. Barry's parents bear witness to this and save him from an oncoming car. They take him to hospital to care for him. At the scene where Barry is almost run over, Joe investigates the supposed crime and finds a blue crystal which briefly makes his eyes glow, and as we will see later, gives him powers, or more appropriately, gives way to something inheriting his body. Barry's parents take him out for a meal, not knowing that he's their future son. They attempt to give him counsel, but after they offer for him to stay at their house, he runs off. Also, the restaurant they are eating in is called Zatara's, which is a familiar name to comic readers, that being the surname of both Giovanni and Zatanna Zatara. Barry is confronted by Thawne, who details what his plan is, that being to kill Barry as a child, with Barry unable to stop him because it would mean breaking the timeline. And Thawne loves torturing Barry by this idea. After visiting his parents one last time, Barry is confronted by Joe, who, as I alluded to earlier, is currently being inhabited by the negative Speed Force. The two of them fight, causing quite a scene in the hospital where they encountered each other. Barry ends up winning this battle, but the crystal that appeared to give Joe his powers vanishes before Barry can get to it. Also, a cool side note, one of the doctors in the hospital is Rachel Rosso, the mother of Ramsey Rosso, aka Bloodwork. Barry then runs towards his childhood home, where he meets Thawne, who is there to kill him as a child. Barry attempts to talk Thawne down from killing him, to finally end their eternal feud. But this doesn't work, so he warns him of what Thawne loses by going through with his plan, that being his powers, and then being stuck in the past. But nonetheless, Thawne goes off to kill Barry's past self. We then enter a scene that we have seen countless times before, that being the night of Nora Allen's death, where we see Season 9 Barry battle Reverse Flash, Season 1 Barry appear from the future to save his mother, but as we already know, he decides against this. And then our Season 9 Barry once again runs his past self away from the house, leaving Thorne to kill his mother, bringing the events of the series full circle. I'm actually going to put a side-by-side comparison of the first time we got to see this scene back in Season 1, I believe episode 23, and then the one from this episode. And you'll be able to see how similar they are, but just now you'll be able to tell that the events have kind of come round in a nice circle. Barry then goes to confront Thorne, who just lost his speed, to explain the situation. That being his mother's death being a fixed point in the timeline. Even though the reasons for Barry being brought back in time was a complete accident, he cherishes the time he got to spend with his parents, and then again gets engulfed by the blue flames from earlier, gone off to who knows where this time. The episode ends in the way it started, focusing on Eddie, who is currently at Mercury Labs. He's working on a project during a thunderstorm, and once again in a fashion very reminiscent of Season 1, Eddie is struck by lightning in the same way Barry was, but in this case it appears to be the negative speed force, because of the red lightning. And luckily for him, he doesn't spend 9 months in a coma like Barry did. Eddie finds a crime report detailing his own death, that we are accustomed to knowing from when he killed himself to erase Eobard from the timeline. But when he sees this, he has no clue as to who Eddie Thorne is, and is confused as to why he shares a face with him. Anyway, that is the end of this episode. Very awesome episode, in my opinion. And if it wasn't for last episode's cameos of Green Arrow, this would definitely be my favourite. I hope the next 3 episodes continue suit and are amazing to end off the series. But I just really liked how this episode ended up bringing everything full circle and gave Barry time to have one last moment with his parents, and also just seeing his feud with Eobard, especially a past version of Eobard, was just amazing to see. Anyway, that is it for this episode, so I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content like this. But until next time, this has been Chris, and I'll be seeing you.